returned from abroad, and I can assure you that no one, absolutely no one, has heard of the voice to Parliament, but everyone has heard about Daniel Andrews and the handcuffing of a pregnant woman during COVID. Now we have the cancellation of the Commonwealth Games flying around the empire. Is this a sign that Victoria is in a lot more trouble economically than the government has let on?
Well, certainly I think it was one of those things that sounded pretty sexy, pretty good before the election, particularly the idea of having the Commonwealth Games in a number of regional centres, but particularly Ballarat, Bendigo and Geelong. And all three of those regional Victorian cities have problems with marginal seats. And it was before, I know it's foolish now to think about it, but back then, 12 months ago, there was a real chance in people's minds that the coalition could actually have a boil-over win in that election. So Daniel Andrews and Labor threw everything but the kitchen sink, and probably the kitchen sink, if you count the Commonwealth Games bit, into it. And once the election was over, done and dusted, and Labor actually romped it back in, the Commonwealth Games had actually served their purpose. And I think they were looking at a way of washing their hands of them at the earliest opportunity when they realised that their business case, their business plan for it, was far more than Victoria as an economy, as well as a government, could actually bite off. And but the way that they did it, especially giving the Commonwealth Games Federation only 8 hours notice in the middle of the night, London time, where they're based, was just absolutely reprehensible.
Well, you've written, and I quote, "The cancellation of the Commonwealth Games confirms the smart money has known for years doing business with the Andrews government is extreme sovereign risk. Now, don't do it." Now, you've also written that Labor destroyed public trust by doing this. Will Andrews and his government be forgiven for this, or might there actually, be any real consequences for the Premier, or is he just going to coast along like he normally does?
Well, certainly I think the way things are going, the Twitter boosters, the Twitter fanatics, like PR guy and whoever he is, cotton what number, have been saying, "Oh, wonderful, Dan. Yes, housing and infrastructure, far more important than the Commonwealth Games." But you've got to remember, this bloke is the one who actually bid for it. This is the bloke who announced it. This is the bloke who said he's following through. This is the bloke who actually made it an election campaign issue. And certainly it's very hard to do an interview with a 4-year-old. Let's put it that way. And she is basically taken over my connection here. But the reality is that politicians need to actually behave rationally. They need to actually be trusted. They need, when they give their word, their contractual word, they need to honour it. And the message, and as I wrote for the UK Spectator after the announcement, is that sovereign risk, thy name is Daniel Andrews. If you want to do business in Victoria, think very carefully about the risk of a capricious government making capricious decisions. And I think the thing that really has struck here for many people, it's not just Victoria that's getting a bad reputation, it's actually all those state governments around the country. No matter how well they are, I mean, people go by the reputation of the one that gets the most attention, and that happens to be Victoria. And if I was doing, and as I wrote for the UK Spectator, I think it goes even into areas like AUKUS. You think it has nothing to do with the Commonwealth Games, and that's true. But if you look at what we have committed to do, what Australia is committed to do under the AUKUS agreement in relation to the nuclear submarine aspect of it, state governments are absolutely integral to its implementation. So if you've got a state government like Victoria acting like an absolute rogue pork chop, it doesn't matter if you're South Australia, West Australia, New South Wales, whatever, they tar you with their brush. So Daniel Andrews is not only a disgrace to Victoria, he's a disgrace to Australia.
Well, I'm not particularly sure that Australia wants Victoria to be our ambassadors to the world stage, but there we have it.